Give it up for Bill Horvath talking about conscious capitalism.
Thank you. I'm going to be totally lame and read off a script. Okay, so my name's Bill Horvath. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about conscious capitalism and tell you a little bit about how it's fundamentally changing the way business is done in the US and around the world. The ideas behind conscious capitalism started to take root in the mid-1980s when a guy named Edward Friedman started writing about stakeholder-driven management theory. Now, this differed from the traditional approach of shareholder-driven management theory in that it was focused on long-term value for all of the business's stakeholders and not just the investors. Around the same time, halfway around the world, the Grameen Bank excuse me, was officially chartered in Bangladesh as a microfinancing bank to solve the problems associated with high interest loans and predatory lending practices among India's rural poor. They went on to win a World Habitat Award and a Nobel Peace Prize for their focus on sustainable solutions. So you can see how the same ideas were taking off around the world at around the same time. Now, back not too long ago in the early 2000s, the cause had been taken up here more robustly in the US by John Mackey, who was the CEO of Whole Foods. And he championed the idea that when the pursuit of long-term stakeholder value is honored by the business, capitalism is a noble framework that can be used to do good in the world. So starting in 2010, the Conscious Capitalism became an eponymous organization that evangelizes the conscious capitalist philosophy and helps businesses that subscribe to it. Its purpose is captured in the CREDO, which I'd like to read verbatim because I think it captures things pretty nicely. We believe that business is good because it creates value. It is ethical because it is based on voluntary exchange. It is noble because it can elevate our existence. And it is heroic because it lifts people out of poverty and creates prosperity. Free enterprise capitalism is the most powerful system for social cooperation and human progress ever conceived. It is one of the most compelling ideas we humans have ever had, but we can aspire to even more. So as defined by the Conscious Capitalism organization, a conscious business rests on four basic pillars: purpose, stakeholders, culture, and leadership. Each pillar represents a core part of the beliefs, traditions, and methods of action that are shared throughout the conscious organization. The purpose is the company's reason for being in the context of the community and the world. This is more than about profit, much like a person who has to consume oxygen and produce blood cells. A conscious business must earn a profit, but it also aspires to a higher existential purpose. A conscious business also considers the demands of all the stakeholders to drive decisions, even when those demands may seem in competition at first blush, and has leadership that maintains a culture in which such considerations are not only made but encouraged. In the context of the four pillars, there are a set of implementation details that are widely shared across conscious businesses that seem to be fundamental to their success. Staff at these organizations are well cared for, they're empowered to solve customer problems, and they have a clear sense of why the company has adopted its purpose. Their decisions and those of their leaders are based on long-term value for stakeholders rather than short-term gains. And the company actively chooses to do good in any number of ways, from providing fundraising or volunteers to solving community-wide problems. There are a few other things worth noting about conscious capitalism that I thought would be worth mentioning here. First, profit still matters, of course. If the company doesn't make money, it's not sustainable in the long run. However, there are now legal structures that exist, such as B Corps, which are legal in, I think, 26 states now, that provide support for some of the stakeholder-oriented ideals that conscious businesses are striving to reach. There are also a number of companies you've probably heard of who have gotten into the conscious capitalism movement, including Whole Foods, KeyBank, and Morningstar, to name a few. My employer, Improving, is on board in a big way, which we feel is a significant competitive advantage for attracting top talent, for enhancing the reputation of IT in the business community, and for satisfying our customers. It's also worth noting that the Agile Manifesto and Conscious Capitalism share some thematic elements, such as their mutual emphasis on individuals and interactions, customer collaboration, sustainable pace, and customer satisfaction. It all comes down to trust, as we like to say, which changes everything. If you're interested in learning more, I'd encourage you to read some of the books on the topic. There are chapters of Conscious Capitalism across the US, and if there's not one in your city, please consider starting one. But you don't have to read hundreds of pages or participate in chapter events to get involved. Talk it up with your colleagues and peers, start a user group, or write an op-ed to your local paper. We can't realize the aspirations of conscious free enterprise capitalism without you. Thank you.